Cryptocurrency. Should Bitcoin mining be curbed in Europe? Swedish authorities say yes. They're worried about electricity again. They're worried about Bitcoin mining. I've been listening to Howard Stern all week. He has Greta Thunberg impersonator on there all the time, and she's always screaming about everything that you do. Will Europe become the next screamer about Bitcoin mining? Let's see. Justin, where'd Ben go? Ben Ark, your thoughts on Europe, Bitcoin mining, and Greta screaming about using too much energy.
Well, I mean, I personally love Greta. I think she's a prophet of our age, but whatever. Um, yeah, Bitcoin, it does consume currently, if you use just a transaction for sending value from one person to another, it's a large carbon footprint. Maybe you need that carbon footprint because that transaction is really important to you. But you can do a lot more with a transaction. Now we have Lightning Network and we've had our Taproot activation. So that'll take a while to kick in, but we can pack a lot more data and information into a transaction. And actually then a transaction becomes very economically feasible and its carbon footprint is very, very light if you consider the amount of information and transaction throughput and scripting and whatever else we can pack into a transaction. But yeah, that I don't think that narrative has gone away. The Bitcoin's carbon footprint, and it shouldn't, because when it kind of the old Elon stuff kicked off, there was some good which came from it. There was some investment in exploring, using renewables for mining Bitcoin, and maybe trying to offset, your carbon footprint on transactions and things. So yeah, whatever. Go on, Sweden. Like, carry on. Keep bringing this up as an issue, and then we'll tackle it, and we'll make Bitcoin more efficient, and we'll get more out of a transaction. So, and with all that, Nick Szabo style social scalability stuff, when you think about the amount of energy which is consumed in all these institutions, which Bitcoin transactions can eventually replace, then it becomes very economical and actually quite a green utility for people to use. But yeah, no, it's a narrative which is going to continue. But yeah.
I like Greta too, but she does remind me a little bit of the 1976 movie Network, where she's just an angry prophet denouncing the hypocrisies of our
times. Wonderful about her. Like, if you looked at COP20, I was at COP26 marching, and you have all these politicians flying in on their private jets and then doing all these speeches. And I think everyone was watching those speeches thinking blah, blah, blah. And then Greta, she stood up there and she did it. She coined the phrase, like, blah, blah. And it was blah, blah, blah. Just politicians doing what politicians do. They don't mean a word of it. And billionaires and whoever else doing the same thing. So it's good that this weird teenager is suddenly holding the world to account on the issue of, our destruction of the planet. So, yeah.
Well, suppose I want to be an angry prophet denouncing the hypocrisies of our times. Justin Newton, your thoughts on Bitcoin, the environment, and a potential mining ban in Europe?
Yeah, I mean, so look, for me, I think the environmental mix of grids is something that countries need to take on holistically and not try and blame one user of the grid or another. And say, Bitcoin is evil for using power. Everyone uses power. So if our power mix needs to be cleaner, let's make our power mix cleaner for everybody, rather than try and villainize one user. What I would say we do need to be careful of on the other side of with some of the mining and crypto stuff is, though, we do show up in some places and suddenly create like massive density in terms of power usage. And if that causes issues around price spikes or reliability in local grids as a result of high consumption from Bitcoin mining, that's the kind of thing that can actually lead to a strong local backlash and, bans, right? And so it's actually something that's been interesting to me to watch over the last year, kind of the combined messages coming out of Texas of like, we want more Bitcoin mining, but we also have grid failures that happen from time to time, right? Like, I'm wondering where the political tension on those two issues rubbing up against each other is going to show up, and what that's going to mean in terms of access to power for certain use cases going forward. To me, that's something that is probably more important long-term for us to focus on, is making sure that we're being, responsible to the other users of the grid and the neighbors that we're working with, that we're not causing problems for others around us in a way that's going to cause political backlash, bans, and other things. And the overall mix of cleanliness of power in the grid, that should be the grid's problem. That shouldn't be Bitcoin's problem.
It is interesting that no one's up in arms over always on devices like PlayStation 4s or Christmas lights, which are very wasteful. Most of Europe seems focused on making Apple use USB-C, and they're just going to outfox them. They'll take the port off the thing. Joshua Shigala, your thoughts on the important movement in Europe to ban cryptocurrency mining? Very forward thinking.
Very forward thinking. Yeah, Justin's spot on. Everyone's spot on in this panel, on this great, fantastic panel. I mean, exactly. Are they going to ban the PlayStations? Are they going to ban the PlayStations? Come on, ban them. All those gamers not playing. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous notion, and this is typical of government stuff where they're like this knee jerk. It's like someone just banged their little knee and they went, ban it all. Like they don't even think twice. They go, ban it. And then how are you going to ban it? At the end of the day, you know what ban is? Ban is someone with a big gun coming and threatening you for what? For calculating some hashes. Just stop it. But I think this is actually where, I'm going to say it. Proof of stake might be interesting because the thing is that when you ban mining like China did, there's a lot of proof of stake coins that have just going off over there being mined because they can't tell the data packets from anything else if they're encrypted, and so it's and you can't shut it down. Like massive, you can like this is a centralizing factor of like, hey, there's a house there using more power than the weed growers by like a tenfold. Shut it down, would you? Like, it's not too hard to bust them if it's made illegal. So it is a weak point in proof of work, I see. Of course, globally not, because the hash power just goes somewhere more friendly. So yeah, but that's also then centralizing because of these super states like Europe. And I see these super states, they will form more and more. Like you see they're trying to build a super state down in Asia as well, and to have the union of Asian countries, and they then make top-down decisions, and then Europe makes top-down decisions, and then it can be quite dangerous because these people don't know what they're doing, and it's just that's what I have to say about that. It's a weird one. Like, it's typical government. This is why I just don't like more state power, because they're just fools.
I just think we can get along with the gamers. Sure, you want an international censorship-free, non-government currency program. They just want to download their updates without having to wait for them overnight. Like, we're so close, right? And then those other people, they want twinkly lights in their neighborhood. So we're kind of far apart on that one.